Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean, and this is going to be the second generation Planet Ocean. Alright guys, let's take a look. This is right before they updated the box, so this is going to be the last Omega models which come in this old school box. Alright, so let's open it up. Alright, so inside you get this very good condition red box. So believe it or not, I got this watch new old stock. I actually had to buy it gray market to get it in this condition. But the fact that I could get it in new old stock was really cool. So the thing about buying it off gray market is you don't get all three of the cards. You only get the pictograms and you get a aftermarket warranty card. But Omega is actually really good at honoring their watches warranties. They trust their product so much that even if you buy it gray market, they will more than likely honor that warranty. I believe it's 4 years. So really cool. You get this leather pouch. I think this is the last year you get this as well. Then they update it. Here is the operating instructions, and you can see this is kind of going towards the newer era. It's the paperback format is a little different than the old school Seamaster one that I showed you, which looked like a textbook from the 90s. This one looks a little more modern. And then finally we move on to the watch. I mean, you can just see the condition on this thing. It's pretty much brand new. That's the beauty of new old stock. You get something that was just sitting there. It's like getting a brand new product. There's the watch, guys. Beautiful. And look at the inside of this box, so clean. So gray market, the hang tag does not have the price on it, and they removed that, but you still get the original Omega hang tag. And the Planet Ocean roughly went for, around this time, was a bit over 6,000, and a regular Seamaster Professional was going for, give or take, about 5,000. So for a little over $1,000, you could get this amazing finishing, really nice movement, and a higher end saturation diving watch, which I think is an amazing price. And there it is. And I gotta say, guys, this thing is truly stunning. I mean, just breathtaking. The finishing on this is incredible. The markers, everything, it's polished so well, and the brushed sides are done so well. The details just feels like a very high-end timepiece. I'm really impressed with this. I would say the finishing on this is equal to or equivalent to Grand Seiko, which I already think is equivalent to basically Patek. I mean, the overall case finishing, I can't get over how clean it is and just how high-end it looks. The hour markers, the handset, everything just looks so well constructed. All right, guys, so a little detail about the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean. The Planet Ocean is supposed to be a more hardcore Seamaster. So instead of the 300-meter depth rating that the regular Seamaster Professional has, the Planet Ocean has 600 meters. And this is for saturation diving, for those hardcore divers. More than anything, it's just to have something bigger and better. As you move up in the Seamaster range, you can see that it's placed as a higher end watch. So it's not just that it's more of a hardcore tool. They actually upped everything on it. The case finishing, the overall quality, the handset. They really wanted to show that this watch was something different than the regular Seamaster, and not just like a Seiko model where the depth rating just increases the case size. But this one actually looks very different design wise and material wise than the normal Seamaster Professional. So this Seamaster Planet Ocean is the second generation Planet Ocean, and it's actually the same one that Daniel Craig wears as James Bond in his third movie, Skyfall. So it's a pretty famous watch for that. 2012, I believe that's around when this generation released. So more than anything, it was probably just a advertisement for this new model that came out, and what better way to advertise it than to put it on the wrist of James Bond, Agent 007 himself. The first generation Planet Ocean had an aluminum bezel, and it had like a matte dial. It also did not have that orange Seamaster writing. It was actually written in white, which is why some people think it might be a good collector's watch. But overall, the case finishing, the handset, and the indices, everything on this one looks so much more higher end than the first gen that I kind of just skipped getting the first gen because of that alone. It would have been a little repetitive, even though I do have the Pierce Brosnan era very first Seamaster Professional, and then I also have the 2220.80, which is the remastered version. So even though I have those two Seamasters, for some reason the Planet Ocean, I felt like this one was just good enough. First one, I just couldn't really fall in love with it. It seemed a little too toolish and not differentiated enough from the regular Seamaster quality wise. So that's why I wanted to spring for this, something that felt a little more different and would give me a little change in my collection. If I had the first gen Planet Ocean, I feel like I kind of would have regretted it quality wise. I've heavily seen both versions, and this one just wins by far. You also get that cool, this is a light gray matte ceramic liquid metal bezel, which I think just looks beautiful. And the first one just has an aluminum bezel, and you can see the silver inner ring. On the first gen, it's actually much thicker, and it gives the dial a sense of being much bigger than it actually is, and makes the bezel look much thinner than it really is. And that's another factor that I just couldn't get behind. Other than that, I think the orange tip on the second hand and the orange Seamaster logo is a Planet Ocean staple, and that kind of is a little detail that pops, but lets you know that if it's in those colors, it's a Planet Ocean. Honestly, and obviously, you can tell from the very nice indices and the Arabic numerals at 6, 9, and 12 that this is based upon kind of like the Heritage model. So there is already a Heritage Seamaster model, which came out after this watch actually, and that is supposed to be almost like a one-of-one to the vintage Omega Seamaster when it first came out. And this was kind of like between that full-fledged remake of the Seamaster and a brand new modern Seamaster. This is kind of like a twist in the middle. So it has characteristics that is very modern and it's a new design, but then it also has some design cues from the very first Seamaster, and it has those vintage cues. So it has like a really cool factor to it. I actually really like it. And to be honest, I wasn't sure I was gonna like it as much as I do, but I gotta tell you guys, I'm really in love with this thing. Another huge benefit of the second gen is you get the coaxial movement. You guys can see back here. So this one is brand new, so I still have the sticker on it. See, it says Planet Ocean back there, but see-through display case back, and it shows that beautiful 8500 movement. This was the first time that Omega used this movement. I believe it started off in this watch, and this one actually has, as Omega calls it, the luxury finish. So it has a little bit nicer finishing, let you know it's not a regular Seamaster, and everything's done really well. You can just see that movement. It is beautiful. The jewels, the screws, and the overall finishing, just amazing. And you see it says professional, 600 meters in the back. Just amazing, guys. So another thing is, I think this watch is kind of like a direct comparison to the Submariner versus the regular Seamaster Professional, because this is where Omega kind of says we can do so much more than what you guys are offering for much less. And that's exactly what this watch is. I mean, 600 meters depth rating, and then you get this amazing finish, this crazy case design, just beautiful design, see-through display case back with that luxuriously finished movement, and this liquid metal ceramic bezel with a matte finish. I mean, it's just perfect. And I love the way that light gray kind of contrasts with that glossy black dial. It just looks so good. And I don't know if you guys can tell in the video, but in person, the hour markers, the Arabic numerals, and the handset, everything looks like it just has a 3D effect, kind of like it's popping up. It looks really nice, really high end. Again, the finishing, amazing. Even the Omega logo and the brand text underneath the logo just look really nicely finished. The bracelet is also pretty nice. I will say I'm gonna give Rolex points for bracelet. Their bracelet's nicer. There is a new 3rd gen Planet Ocean. I think they might have improved on the bracelet, but I mean, it's a solid bracelet, but it just feels like a higher end Seiko or even a Grand Seiko style bracelet. I don't really think it's quite there with Rolex. The clasp is pretty nice too. I mean, the construction, finishing, everything is nice. It just doesn't have that same feeling you get with the Oyster bracelet that the Rolex has. All right, let's get it on wrist and see how it fits. All right, guys, here it is on wrist, and this one is 42 millimeters. The 1st gen Planet Ocean that James Bond wore in Casino Royale was actually a 45 millimeter, and then he wore the 42 millimeter of the 1st gen in Quantum of Solace. Skyfall is where he inherited this model, the 42 millimeter 2nd generation with a liquid metal bezel. It's a thick movement, so the watch is fairly thick as well. You can see it on my wrist right here. The display case back actually kind of sinks into your wrist, so it's much thinner than you think it would. I mean, I'm wearing it right now and it doesn't feel overly chunky at all. It feels just like my Seiko SKX or my Submariner would feel. Even the regular Seamaster Professional, I think, would feel very similar to this. And this case is meant to handle 600 meters of water resistance, so that is something special. This movement is very special as well. It has a jumping hour hand. It does have some features that put it a little bit ahead of the Submariner as well. Another thing is Omega's very proud of their coaxial movement. Ever since they started implementing their coaxial movements into their watches, this is their first 8500 series movement, which was made completely in-house and it was not modified from any other movement. So they're very proud to show that. So they write coaxial on the dial. They have the see-through display case back, so you can see that beautiful movement. They're very proud of their achievements. This watch also has that helium escape valve at 10 o'clock position, and that's just another classic Omega Seamaster giveaway. And I like how they implemented that here as well. Really cool watch, really beautiful. I think I'm gonna wear this one a lot, guys. Might even be my new daily. I really like this one. All right, guys, why don't you tell me what you think in the comments below, and hopefully I'll have something new, cool, and exciting for you guys to see next time.